teach because I want to mean something.
So I am Alexia Buno, and I study pedagogy, specifically early childhood education pedagogy, and how to integrate mindfulness and somatics into working with young children, as well as in teacher education. I also research bodily restorative justice, meaning restorative justice for our own bodily selves, as well as restorative justice for different bodies in the world. And then another topic that's also my methodology is arts-based research. And so I utilize a mixture of phenomenology with dance-based. So I found that this was a methodology that allowed the intention of me doing the research in the first place to come to life. So I research early childhood education in movement-based settings, so yoga classes, dance classes. And so the data that I collect is movement-based and it's alive, as well as the students' verbal expressions. And so from a phenomenology standpoint, that methodology allows me to really get into the lived experiences of the students and of the teachers and those interactions. And then the dance part of the arts-based research, I am a trained dancer, so I do have that dance literacy. But then for my students who the data is embodied, it allows the data to become re-embodied and to continue on in a lived embodied way rather than just our traditional words on a page or verbally speaking them. I observe classrooms and I also study my own teaching. There's multiple forms of data collection that I utilize. So one of them is video and audio recordings of the classrooms that I'm teaching in or observing in, as well as video and audio recordings of the interviews. So I interviewed the young children and their teachers, and then I also collect data on within those interviews, the young children not only speaking about what they remember, but they also watch videos of themselves and embodily and verbally reflect. So those are two forms of data collection. And then with the arts-based methods, what I do in the studio for my data analysis is another form of data collection. So I bring the cameras into the studio and I'm recording myself doing this analytical process because that also both contributes to the analysis as well as becomes data. I also collect artifacts, so lesson plans, reflections, email data, things like that. So on the one hand, early childhood education is one of the more challenging fields in education to get IRB permission for because you're working with such a young age group. So having to ethically navigate how to appropriately gain consent from the students and their families. But then on the methodology side of things, arts-based research, well, starting with qualitative research, is still in some perspectives seen as not as valid or less than quantitative, so numbers. And so when we add arts-based research into that, where we're not even just using words anymore, we're now going into the form of art. And for me, with it being dance, which is already marginalized in our educational settings, so only 3% of public schools have dance out of all the arts, and then how society, let alone education, views dance and body, and like just looking at the marginalizations of the body as well as certain people's bodies. So it is just getting the approval to do the study with the students I work with, as well as the methods is a challenge. And then a challenge is to have it be seen as rigorous, valid within academia, as well as with people outside of academia.
Yeah.
I haven't had anyone come up to me and say that to my face, but during my training of a PhD process, I initially worked with an advisor who really pushed me and challenged me to verbally articulate why this was rigorous, who else was doing it to support that this is rigorous. So I think I have a training in being able to verbally articulate the details of what I actually do in the studio to help demonstrate, just by talking about it, the rigor in the process. And then, of course, having the research done and sharing it and having it be disseminated in multiple ways. So I both dance the research and perform it, as well as write about it and orally present about it. So I am integrating other forms of discourse within it, so that makes it more accessible, which helps with the believability piece. And then it also helps that more and more recently now, like we have the Handbook of Arts-Based Research. So that helps to have the other arts-based researchers writing about it and having it be valued. Just because I use dance as a form of arts-based research, that's just one of the many approaches to this methodology. And I also collaborate with other researchers, both arts-based researchers and non-arts-based researchers. So there's just an infinite amount of ways that you can utilize any research methodology, let alone arts-based research.